Mike Pence is not concerned about America? Wow, Mike Pence, that's really cold. Some people say that a gaffe is when a politician accidentally says something that's true. And that is, in my opinion, what happened to Mike Pence. So let's take a look at this exchange he had with Tucker.
You are distressed that the Ukrainians don't have enough American tanks. Every city in the United States has become much worse over the past 3 years. Yeah. Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States. And it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased. And yet, your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern. Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern.
Tucker prefaced the question by discussing a lot of the issues with America's cities, and he contrasted that with our politicians' seemingly excessive concern with Ukraine as opposed to the problems that we have in America. So Tucker discussed the suicide rate, public disorder, crime in our cities, and why are we sending billions of tax dollars to Ukraine? Tucker said, quote, "I think it's a fair question to ask, where's the concern for the United States in that?" And Pence said, "Well, that's not my concern." Now, you wouldn't really be reaching too much to think that when Pence said, "That's not my concern," he was referring to the concern for the United States, which is what Tucker referenced in the question directly preceding Pence's response. That's not my concern. That is a pronoun. And so you have to ask yourself, what word does that refer back to? Because pronouns always have antecedents. And again, logically, you can say, that's not my concern. That must refer to the concern for the United States, which is exactly the direct words used by Tucker in his question. Or if you want to go further into Tucker's question, if you want to go to Tucker's kind of statement before the question, Tucker described crime and problems in the city. Is that what Pence was referring to? That's not his concern? Is the crime in the cities? Certainly, Pence was not referring to Ukraine. He wouldn't say Ukraine is not his concern. So what exactly is not Pence's concern? Mike Pence has not really answered that. Instead, Pence said something like, hey, you've got to read the whole context. So the typical, pleading for more context defense. So let's look at what Pence said after that. He said, "Tucker, I've heard the routine from you before, but that's not my concern. I'm running for the President of the United States because I think this country is in a lot of trouble. I think Joe Biden has weakened America at home and abroad, and as the President of the United States, we're going to restore law and order in our cities, we're going to restore our border, etc." So basically, Pence went into some Republican talking points after he said that America is not his concern. Does that make it better? Not really. I doubt that Pence literally meant to say that he's not concerned about America. It's hard to believe that a politician, a former vice president, would get on stage in Iowa and say that. So I'm going with that this was a kind of Freudian slip. Maybe what Pence meant to say is that Tucker's attitude is not his concern, or Tucker's opinion is not his concern. I assume that's what he meant. But Mike Pence is a well-spoken guy, but he's not super articulate, so maybe that's how he fell into that trap. I mean, basically, he fell into a trap. I don't think Tucker set a trap for him. I think Tucker asked a relevant, pressing question, which the audience loved that question. The audience is not like Mike Pence. I know Mike Pence has fans out there, but they're not like multitudes. So it certainly doesn't look good. And I think Pence should maybe he should apologize, or he should acknowledge that he somehow said something that appeared hopefully different than what he meant. I hope he didn't literally mean he doesn't care about the United States. But again, it's a bit of a Freudian slip because some might some might say that based on Pence's attitude and his actions in the last couple of years, that he indeed is not concerned. But we shall see. My name is Michael McCara. Thank you so much for watching my video. In the description, you can see my social media. Follow me on Twitter. Visit my blog, michaelmccarablog.com. And finally, subscribe to my YouTube channel.
I've only heard what love